Hello, I've been 90s tagged by marlinlee, so thank you for that. 90s, eh? I'm an 80s kid, or was an 80s kid. I'm really kind of oblivious to the 90s. I sort of, after about 89, 90, I kind of switched off, or blanked it all, or something. It's like the 90s to me just don't exist. So I really had to think hard to answer these questions. Favourite 90s film? The Matrix. I'm not sure if that was done in 98 or 99. I didn't know anything about this film when I saw it. I went to the cinema with a friend and I wanted to see Star Wars Part 1, you know, that first sequel thing. And she said, no bloody way are we watching Star Wars. And I'm very glad she did. She was in uni at the time, and all of her friends told her she should watch this film. And it was one of those, it was like a slow burner, really, word of mouth that made it popular. There was no hype around it at all. So we went and watched that. And starting off, again, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. And it started, and I thought this is some kind of film noir thriller something, and was preparing to be bored, and then it got very weird and I thought, hold on, this is not what I thought it was, this is really quite interesting. And by the end of it I was completely blown away. I realised this is at least the best film I've seen this decade. I think it's a crying shame what they did with the sequels. Reloaded was potentially quite good. Reloaded asked lots of questions that should have been answered in Revolutions, but by the time they did Revolutions, so they did it at the same time, so I don't know quite what happened there. But with Revolutions, they just completely crawled up their own arseholes, to be blunt about it. They got completely up themselves, carried away, believing their own hype, and just made a complete... it was a disaster, really. It was a god-awful film, and such a shame. I wish they hadn't done sequels, or at least done Revolutions properly. Anyway, favourite 90s TV show. I'm actually going to copy marlinlee here and say Babylon 5, which I didn't actually watch in the 90s, or I saw about 2 episodes in the 90s, which was enough for me to know I wanted to see more of this, and then I kept missing it. It was on some like Thursday night at some particular time when I was at work half that time, in fact. I saw a lot of Star Trek in the 90s, and I was really into DS9. Get my words out. DS9, liked that a lot. But Babylon 5, storyline-wise, completely stomped on anything Star Trek ever did. The effects are kind of... they looked good at the time, but you look back at them now, and they were done using Lightwave initially on Commodore Amigas. They were using souped-up Amiga 2000s with the video toaster, which was just really a glorified dongle, so you could run Lightwave. And it looked great at the time. It looks pretty appalling now. But it doesn't matter. The acting was initially terrible, but that doesn't matter either. The storylines are fantastic. Season 5, wish they hadn't. I mean, it got canned at Season 4. They crammed everything they'd planned to do in, so it was finished for Season 4. And then they got picked up again by another network. So they did the 5th season, because they'd always planned to do 5. But of course by then they'd used all their storyline, they'd finished. So Season 5 is just a mess. It's like there's loads of... it's so obviously bolted on the end. I wish they hadn't. 90s cartoon. South Park. I had to check when this came out. It was 97. I was used to The Simpsons and Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy, so you know that kind of slightly adult themed cartoon, not just for kids, I was used to. But then I found myself watching this thing just by chance, didn't know what it was, where there was these little badly animated children going, my mum says to be a lesbian you've got to eat carpet, and my mum says to be a lesbian you've got to eat box, as he eats a cardboard box. And I was gobsmacked and laughed my head off all the way through. I mean, it was so completely unlike anything I'd ever seen, and hysterical, because here were these kids saying things that kids should never say. and that I'd never really seen this kind of thing on TV before at all. Awesome. I still love it. I mean, it's a little bit stale now. It's you know, been there, seen that, but I still love it. It's so completely irreverent. Favourite 90s toy? I was kind of oblivious to 90s toys, to be honest. By this time I was totally into video games, and my Amiga and Mega Drive, and later on PS1 and all that lot, but they're not toys. I'm not counting them as toys anyways. It's kind of a different thing. So I mean, I found Tamagotchis interesting. I never had one, but I did find the concept interesting. So the only toy I actually bought in the 90s were 2 Furbies. I was just interested in them, and at that time I had more money than sense. I wanted to see what they were like. They supposedly like had some kind of AI and developed as you played with them, and they developed as they played with each other. That sounds wrong. Yeah, they were crap. They were really quite boring. Got very boring very quickly. I gave them to the kids of a girlfriend I had at the time, and I think she found them so completely annoying as well. They just got put in a cupboard somewhere and left there, which was probably the best thing to do with them. £60 a time. What the hell was I thinking of? But they're really the only toy I ever bought in the 90s that wasn't to do with video gaming. 90s game, I can answer that one very easily. Easily. Gran Turismo, totally. I've left every single episode, if you like, of Gran Turismo. Bought all of them except Gran Turismo 4 Prologue, because, well, I just didn't. I was still playing Gran Turismo 3 when Prologue 4 came out, and by the time I finished 3, 4 was out, and I bought that. Yeah. And the only other 90s game that I could really get excited about was Sonic the Hedgehog, but I only really like 1 and 2. I know Sonic and Knuckles is meant to be good, but I've not really played much of that. I've never played 3. Actually, I don't even know what 3 looks like. Yeah, not a clue. Or is Sonic and Knuckles 3? I don't know. Nah. I like Sonic R. Didn't like that Sonic 3D do for what's it. Don't like... I need to give Sonic Adventure more of a go, but really, by the time it went 3D, I think they'd lost the plot. Whereas Gran Turismo, I think, has been fantastic all the way through, so I'm going with Gran Turismo. Yes, there you are, my 90s tag video, my favourite 90s stuff. Actually, I haven't... I'm going to add something onto this, favourite 90s music, because I was mostly oblivious to music in the 90s, but there were a few things that I really liked. I liked the Chemical Brothers, Left Field, and Orbital. There was just this electronic kind of thing going on then that I really liked. Yes, that's just something I'm tacking on the end there. Am I tagging anyone? I don't actually like tagging people. I don't like to impose. I like being tagged. I don't like tagging, which... I don't know. I know that's all part of what tagging is about, but anyway, yeah. Basically, if you wanna do a response, please do. Am I going to tag anyone? Probably not. I might add someone in the sidebar, but I probably won't. I'm lazy. I don't like to impose. You know. Yeah, but check out MarlinLee's tag video. This is a response to that. Yeah. Thank you for watching.